Never easy going on the road in conference play. What's the challenge going down to Fresno tomorrow?
No doubt, it's a huge challenge, and it's another team. I think when you look at the roster, the way they play, their coaching staff, they're a lot better than what their record says they are, and we know that. And our guys are locked in, ready to go. But life on the road, and not just on the road, everywhere is going to be a crusade to get a game.
You do look at the pieces, and then you look at the record and stuff. Why do you think it hasn't come together for them? Maybe.
It's hard to win games, and sometimes you have injuries, and you always have stuff going on, and they've lost some crazy buzzer beater things, and just stuff like that. But I do know they're a good basketball team, and it's a hard place to win.
I know their effective field goal percentage is pretty high. I mean, they can shoot a ton. I mean,
Yeah.
what could they do that could cause you some problems?
Well, I think Justin does an amazing job with their defense. They're one of the best defensive teams you face year in, year out, and it's their system. Justin came from San Diego State, and he knows how to coach that, and then that's where it begins, and that's a big part of their system. And so they did a great job on us here last year. I mean, we were a mess that first half, and we only played them one time, but it was a tough game.
You were really complimentary of the effort from the bench on Saturday. As the season goes on, where do you see them improving? What does their peak look like?
Well, I think number one, they got to understand their roles and how they can help this team, and we're helping them with that, and what specific things they can do to help us and to be great players and keep themselves on the court. And I think all three of the guys that played did that.
These kind of midweek games on the road, we talk about nowhere's easy in conference play, but I mean, what is the challenge like where you have a sellout crowd on a Saturday, and then there may be 2,000 people there on Tuesday, and you have another big game coming up Saturday? How do you keep the focus with college kids in a game like this?
Yeah, and you always got to manage your emotions, and never too high, never too low. And I think last game it's about calming them down and keeping things even keel, and we got to make sure we have enough emotion in this game.
Tyson and Buzo, where would you like them in a perfect world shot attempt-wise to be? And do you think that maybe they could be – they didn't shoot a ton in that last game. You obviously still won, but would you like to see those guys maybe shooting a little more?
Well, that's why the development of all those other guys is so important, because, sometimes you just have to do what the game tells you to do instead of forcing shots. I mean, but your best players have to get shots too, and so – but if they're going to face guard and commit guys to, those kind of guys night in, night out, those other guys have to be good enough to get the job done.
I think a win tomorrow would put Max in the top 10 in Mountain West history. How cool of a milestone is that?
Yeah, that's amazing, and what a great stat. I know he's been here longer, but, he didn't play that much the first year or two, and he's been a big part of a lot of wins here. And, I think that's an ultimate stat, to be, something like that is something that you always bring up when you talk about Kellen Moore, all the wins he did. All those other stats are great, but when you're part of all those wins, it makes it really, really unique.
We've talked about this for years with the charters and stuff like that, but just this year, getting on this plane, taking an hour-and-a-half flight to Fresno, when you would have had to change in Vegas or Sacramento or somewhere else, and what kind of difference does that make over the course of the season?
Because all that travel and all that stuff is cumulative, and the less time you spend in airports, the less time you spend traveling. Number one, health and safety. I mean, you're out amongst all people and exposed to sickness, and you get sick less. You spend more time in your own beds. You're not waking up and you're getting 2 hours of sleep to catch the fly. All those things matter, and it's what great programs do. And we want to be a great program. We got to do those kind of things.
I know part of it was getting a little lucky with where they rebased the charters or whatever, and it became more affordable. But just still the investment that this administration has put into.
No doubt, and you can't in college basketball. You got to compete, and you got to keep elevating this program, and you got to do it on all fronts, not just hoping that it gets better. And credit to our administration, we keep making advances that make our program better.
Is the way back almost more important, I guess, when you can get back that night and you're able to quick to turn the...
I think it all is, but it is great to be back after the game, because then you can start your prep instead of fighting travel the next day, and the guys never get a day off because you're always in airports, and that can be rough. And like I said, that weighs on you maybe not the next day, but down the road it does, and it can catch up with you.
Is that a recruiting thing too? Does that help at all?
I
when
think
you're
it always does. Yeah, you want to operate top shelf, and if we're going to be top shelf, we got to operate that way.